All right, so today we're talking about arguing. That's how you say it, right? Arguing? Say it.
Just say having a productive argument.
No, it's arguing. It's fussing and fighting.
So, arguing.
Let's get it.
Hey babe, what's going on? What's wrong with you?
Why are you always leaving the drawers open, Mimi?
What drawers? What's your problem?
You.
If you're that bothered by them, just close them yourself.
You.
If it bothers you that much, why don't you just go ahead and close them? It takes like 2 seconds.
Are you all dressed up and I look like this? So in the military, we learned of a term called rules of engagement. It really pretty much documented and gave you what you should and should not do when you're engaging an enemy in war. Now, if the military has something like that in the midst of combat, I think it's evident that we as married couples or families should have rules for arguing.
So just sharing a couple of tidbits from couples consultant Leslie Duries, and this is about having productive arguments. So not saying you shouldn't argue, but there's a way for those arguments to be productive. So for example, you're sticking to the topic at hand, no raising your voices, you're listening to the other person's perspective.
Like, when do you know if I'm raising my voice?
When I tell you, you're raising your voice.
Okay.
So no name calling, definitely don't storm off and don't shut down, and you just want to make sure you're following those rules. So when it becomes unproductive is when any of those things do not occur. So it's not the argument itself, it's how you are conducting yourself during the argument, because you want it to be productive. And I myself am guilty of many of those unproductive behaviors, I confess.
Wait, so you mean to tell me a successful argument is not whether you win or lose, but it's based on how you conduct yourself?
Well,
yes.
I like to win, so I'm conflicted.
Look,
the textbook answer is yes.
Whatever. Here's some of the highlight rules that we use in the midst of argument. One of the things that we use is allow for flex range. Oftentimes when you're arguing, like you're passionate, and so you're not going to speak in a common way, and you may speak with a little bit more bass in your voice, but that flex range is allowable. Anything outside of the flex range, meaning that you're yelling. So your partner would say, hey, you exceeded the flex range. That means you are now yelling at me. All right, number 2 would be seek for clarity. One of the things that we learned from the other Byrds, our cousins, Sean and Jen, Byrd, is what I hear you saying is, so every time you're making a point, usually you want to be clear on what you're hearing and that the person is clear on what they're saying, right? Did I say that the right way?
You're seeking clarity.
Let's do a demonstration. What I heard you say was that you
have an issue with the doors being open.
That's a true statement. So seek clarity.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's true.
You have to affirm my seeking of the clarity.
I'm not affirming anything right now. Okay. Now the third tidbit that we would like to share is set an expiration on anger. That's right. Allow a certain time to where anger expires. Now we learned this from Pastor and First Lady Jones. Look, in Goldsboro, North Carolina, give a shout out to Pastor Jones and First Lady Jones, right? We love them dearly. But one of the things that they used to share with us is that, hey, you only have a certain amount of time to be mad. It's actually a biblical reference, a biblical point in Ephesians chapter 4, starting around verse 26 to 27. The Bible says, be angry and sin not, and don't let the sun go down on your wrath, giving room to the devil. So when you go to sleep mad, right? When you wake up the next day and you're pondering bitter anger and resentment from yesterday, it gives room to the devil to tear your family apart. And the last and final point that we would like to share is don't try to win. No, don't try to win. Try to understand and have yourself set to receive.
Okay, so learning how to argue more productively in your relationship, certainly not an easy task, and it doesn't happen overnight. But if you want your relationship to last, it's worth your while to actively work on improving your communication and conflict resolution skills. Yeah.
I got skills. I got skills. I got conflict starting skills and resolution skills.
Okay.
Notice how I said that starting? I start the conflict sometimes, don't I?
Yes, you do. It's a lot harder to make a relationship work when the going gets tough if you and your partner have bad communication skills.
Do I have bad communication skills?
At times, yes.
Well, you do too.
I'm working on it.
Well, you should.
As we're sharing.
That's right. You should.
So what I hear you saying is I should work on my communication skills.
And that's all we're saying.
That's all we're saying.